I don't know if I have any interest in it. I don't think I do. So I think I'm probably the next thing I might look at down the road, and it'll be probably a year or two down the road, but I might look at the Yaesu FTDX 101D. It's kind of piqued my interest a little bit. The new rig that they came out with at Dayton. I still don't think those things are for sale yet. I've looked around, and everybody has reservations that you can make, to buy one, but nobody's selling them yet, I don't believe. And I probably wouldn't buy one in the beginning because they'd probably want too much money. I think I'd probably wait a year or two and wait till they start dropping down. I see now, speaking of dropping down, where this radio that I'm talking on has now hit a rock bottom. Well, maybe not rock bottom, but it's hit an all-time low price of $12.99. I see where you can buy an FTDX 3000 for $12.99, or at least you could a couple of days ago. That's an awful lot of radio for that much money. Like I said, they just keep coming down on these prices, which is a good thing. So really, when you think about it, I mean, people shouldn't be. I still kind of sometimes wonder about it. Spending $3,000-$4,000 on a radio. It's kind of, I don't know. When I put it in perspective of other things, of course, there's a lot of things like that. Guns. I don't like to spend that kind of money on a gun. Motorcycles, for instance, and they've gotten incredibly expensive. So, when you think about it, nowadays, quite often, a lot of your top-end bikes are 20 grand easily, and you think what you could buy for $20,000 and what motorcycles used to cost. It's just a lot of money for these hobby-type items. So sometimes I have a hard time justifying to myself spending that kind of money, but yet I have spent a lot of money on radios and guns and motorcycles. So I guess I shouldn't be judgmental. K2YN, K4TK.
N8SDR.
Hey, Rick, N8SDR's in there, Tim. I'm talking with Tim, K4TK. And I think there was another station. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is KO4S.
88AB. Hey, Jim, how you doing? Hey, we're pretty good. And, we got a little group going in here. So, no, I don't think you need the Heil speaker system, but that's just me. If things sound pretty good on the speaker you have, and you would know, if the highs and the lows represent themselves well, you probably, those rigs are probably equalized. It's not an afterthought. In the design, they were equalized to a generally good balance, and you're probably doing just fine. I don't know if you'd get your $500 worth, is what I'm saying. If I experimented, I would go out there and get a single band, not a stereo style, but a monaural style 31 band graphic equalizer with gain, something with an amp in it, and a really high-end speaker, or a pair of speakers in Mario, as I call it, monaural stereo. You have two speakers sitting 4 or 5 feet apart, aiming at your chest, and you fire them both up with the same information. That's what I do here, and it's kind of nice. When I go to binaural, it's an interesting sound because one speaker's running one receiver and one speaker's off the other receiver, and there's a certain kind of depth to it that is interesting. Anyway, over to you, Rick. Let's keep this moving around. N8SDR in the group, K2YN.
Yeah, hello, John. Hello, Tim. I heard the other station that you heard in there too, John, but he was kind of light here, so I didn't catch his call. But Tim, I haven't been listening to you a long time, but long enough that I guess I kind of got a grasp of what you were looking at. My suggestion, if you don't mind another input, would be to save your money and just buy either a Flex or an Anon and be done with it. I don't think I'd look at that Yaesu, but that's that's my opinion. I don't think if you're wanting the capabilities of something with an SDR type receiver, then get a real SDR receiver and get either a flexor and a non. I think either one of those, you won't go wrong. Rumor has it that Yaesu is a hybrid cross kind of generation thing. Some of the SDR circuit is part analog or using some of the analog components. To me, that's not true SDR. So I don't know how you feel about it, but I can tell you that to me, that's not a true SDR rig. I'll send it over to you, Tim, and I guess you can pick up that other station. I think maybe you and John may be hearing him a little bit better, but good evening to both you guys. And I am streaming live on YouTube, so if you want to watch and listen, knock yourself out. N8 SDR.
Okay, Rick. Yeah, I think I heard another station, too. It was a kilowatt something for Sierra, but I didn't get the rest of his call. The Alpha Delta 8 Alpha Bravo, I think, was a call that John gave out, but I don't copy him. He was extremely light here, so I don't have copy on that station. But I did copy the kilowatt $4 Sierra pretty well if he's still hanging around. You know, it's funny because I am an electrical engineer and I'm a big-time technical guy. You know, I work in software development now with the government. But yet, all that said, I am not a big computer guy, and by that I mean the computers I have at my house, and I have multiple ones. I have, I say computers, I don't have any PCs as such anymore. I have at least 3 laptops, probably more. There's probably some floating around, but there's 3 that I use all the time. But there are 3 that I bought from work, and they're not modern. I say modern. They're not like state-of-the-art models. And the one thing I noticed for the software-type stuff is a lot of rebooting and a lot of things that you rely on the computer. And because I'm not running high-end computer and I have issues from time to time with my laptop, one thing I don't want to do is tie my radio into my computer. So right now, I'm not ready to go with a software-defined radio. I mean, they're great and they have a lot of features, but it's not my cup of tea right now. But then there's a lot of things I don't do that, you know, other folks do. We all have our different tastes. In the motorcycle world, I'd never run a car tire on a motorcycle or front tire on the back, or back tire on the front, rather. But I know all sorts of guys that do that. And if you get on a motorcycle board, I'm laughing because that's a big-time heated discussion. Similar radio, you know, I'm sure software-defined radios are probably one of those political-type discussions, you know, a religious-type thing. So anyway, I think they sound great, and they have a lot of nice features, and I think there are a lot of good radios out there, to include a lot of good software-defined radios. I think a lot of the Flex and the Anon that I've heard from different people, but that said, I don't want one personally. Again, because I just have too many times when I have to reboot my computer and things go wrong. So even then it affects me sometimes with my radio because I have some things tied into my computer, you know, into my radio nowadays. So yeah, I still get some effect from it, but at least I don't lose my radio if I have to reboot. So I guess I'm a knob kind of guy. Just like there's other guys that are tube-type guys, you know, an old radio, and they don't like solid state. So, and I get that. That's their cup of tea. So I like knob-type radios, and yes, that Yaesu radio does highly interest me, and I am a Yaesu guy. I'll just say that. You know, I'm Yaesu through and through, so I'll probably wind up getting one a couple of years down the road. And I have multiple Yaesus now. I have the 3000 that I use now. I have a 1200. Probably won't get rid of that, and probably will buy a 101 someday. But again, you know, never say never. So, but that's my taste. And again, like I say, there's just different strokes for different folks. I'm sure there's plenty of people listening that would say, well, I'd never own a solid state amp, or I wouldn't own this or that. And I get that. You know, that's their taste. So, that's about it here. I don't plan on getting that high sound system. I just wondered who all had one and if they liked it. But when I saw the price, you know, the audio out of my radio sounds pretty good, and I can't see spending $500 just to make that audio sound a tad bit better. Because I copy everybody pretty comfortably, you know, if I have, you know, copy on them as far as a signal. So let me see who else is out there. I'll turn it over to one of those other stations, either the K something for us if he's out there, or if he hears me, Alpha Delta 8 Alpha Bravo, although I didn't hear him. This is K4TK.
Yeah, this is K4S, Kilo Oscar 4 Sierra.
There's KO4S. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just popped in just to say hello, and I'm over in Florida, and I only have a Kenwood TS440S radio that I've been using since 1985 or 6, somewhere along in the way, and I have been in places all over the world, DOD, and that's been here for a while. And I've got just a little bitty antenna up, and that's about it. So I just wanted to see if it was actually still working. And I won't bother you guys anymore if you can't hear me. Name is David. This is K4S, Kilo Oscar 4 Sierra.
Oh, yeah, David, you're 20 over with me. John, you copy him?
Oh, yeah. I've got David at about 5 over here in South Carolina.
And David, you're about an easy S910 over up here in Ohio, so no problem.
So who was the other station that you were talking to, John? I couldn't hear him, but what was his call?
Well, you had the call right. That's Jim. I hope he's in there. AD8AB. This is K2YN. Go ahead, Jim.
I've got you just above my noise level. You're S9, but there's a fairly high noise level tonight. So, but I hear you now.
Hey, John, is this Jim that's in Ohio? And if so, I think that's why I can't hear him. I think he's actually in Claremont, if I remember right, and he's actually not really all that far from me.
He's near Columbus.
Okay, and you're 5 to 10 over now, so you're coming right above. There's somebody like moved in on us QRM-wise that I copy everybody now, so. And it's getting about time for me to get ready to go to dinner, so I'm going to have to jump out of here. Probably after this transmission, I'll probably listen one more go-round, but this will probably be my final one. But it's interesting talking about radios, and of course everybody has their preference. You know, I hear guys on all the time that, like, you know, there's Kenwood guys and Icom people and, you know, Flex and Anon, and I hear people debating the Flex and the Anon, you know, between those two. And, you know, as long as you're happy with your radio or whatever you're using, I think that's probably the key. and I'm happy with what I've got for what I do. Of course, I work a lot of DX, so that's what my number one thing is. Can I work the DX? If I can work the DX and bust through the fiber, I'm pretty happy. So I got to have a fairly good antenna system, and I got to have some fire in the wire to do what I want to do. And as long as my receive's pretty good, then I'm good to go. Of course, sometimes I hear those guys with the big gun stations on 40 that have, like a Yagi up at 70 feet or 90 feet. Sometimes I can't compete with those guys, but just about everybody else I can compete with on the DX. That's all. That's my number one priority, is working that DX contact and then occasionally do some rag too. So let me turn it back to Rick, and again, I'm going to listen one go-round of everybody, but this is my final, because it'll be about time for me to get cleaned up and head into the big city to eat some victuals. There's no victuals out here in the country. You got to head to the big city. So 73 from Alabama. Pick it up, Rick. N8SDR in the multitude, K4TK.
Hey, KC, I'd like you all help.
All righty, Tim. K4TK N8SDR. Hey, Tim, just a real quick little note for you. Look at the M series, the Maestro series of the Flex radios, like the 6400M or the 6600M. You don't need a computer. It's already in it. The box already has the computer in it, so you don't have to worry about that, connectivity issue, and you can always connect a computer to it later if you wanted to. But just a little thought for you. That way you got everything in one little package, and it's got knobs and buttons, and you won't miss any of that stuff. John, good to hear you. Sounding good. Tim sounding good. Both you guys are easy copy here. And David down in Florida, if you're still in there, KO4S, you're an easy copy up here too. Not as strong as Tim and John, but I think you said you're just running 100 watts and a little antenna or something there, so it's working quite well for you. You're, like I said, a pretty easy copy up here in the state of Ohio. I'm up between Cincinnati and Dayton in a town called Hamilton, Ohio. So just kind of a little tidbit for you there. And I'm Jim. I can I can't really hear him. I get bits and pieces of him here and there. He's just too close for me here on 40, John. He's you know how 40 gets if close by. He's hidden behind the black veil, so to speak. So I'm going to turn it over to you and let you orchestrate, because I think you're probably the man in the middle, I guess, at this point. K2YN N8SDR.
N4 PBC.
Okay, PBC, I heard you there. N4 PBC. Public Broadcasting Channel. Interesting. This is K2YN, Yankee November. And the name is John in South Carolina. Okay, very good, guys. And Tim, I know you're listening out, but I have full knob control of my Anon, so I have an MP3 controller. 2 large knobs for VFO A and B, 3 sliders, 8 potentiometers, and 24 push buttons comprise the controller. All functions of the Anon can be controlled from that interface. And I just talked with a gentleman, K4DXD Martin, that hooked it up with Bluetooth and ran his rig remote from his picnic table in the backyard. That's one thing that's kind of neat about some of these SDRs, so you can play a lot of games with them. But I can understand wanting a hardware radio, no problem. If, I just thought I'd throw that in. And, of course, you heard what Rick was saying about the M series from Flex. Let's get this new visitor in here. Name and handle. Let's see. Handle and location's what I want. N4 PBC. This is K2YN.
K2YN. N4 PBC. Yeah, the name here is Dave, and I'm in Central Florida. just south of Cape Canaveral, about 30 miles. We spoke before. I just thought I'd drop by and say hello to the group. I don't know most of the stations out here, but I like the conversation about the SDRs. I got an SDR radio here. It's a Flex 6300. I've had the Anon, and I like them, but I also like the old radios too. So, I'm not trying to push anything on anybody, but they work quite well. I've had a lot of success with them, and I've not really had a lot of reboot issues as far as crashes. I have had it happen, but it's pretty rare. Anyway, back to you, John, K2YN, N4PBC.
Okay, Dave. Yeah, I was staring at that call, Public Broadcasting Company. I was thinking, I've talked to this gentleman. So I talk to a ton of people every day, and it's hard to remember all the calls. Good to hear you. And, by the way, also, let's think now. Tim, yeah. I haven't had to reboot anything in years, a couple of years, so I'm not sure exactly what reports you were getting. So, that's from a long time ago. I mean, I remember RFI problems would make my SDR 1000 go nuts. But that was in 2005, 2007, right in those 2 years. And then I went to a Flex 5000A. And that was Firewire. And I think 2 times in a year I had to reboot. But then after that, after about 2009, I haven't had to do it since. Things are very stable now. Anyway, enough of that. I may have to jump out on this next round, so I'm going to shoot it over for any final comments, because Tim's got to run. I don't know if he's still there or not. K4TK, this is K2YN.
I'm still here. Yeah, I think everybody's just got their taste in radios, but you never know. Like I say, I mean, now I went from having the same radios for about 20 years to where now, as I think I've mentioned several times lately, everything in the shack in the last 2 years has been changed out except the power supply. That's the only still the item that's still there that has been here a long time. But everything else in the shack is all new, and it's all tied into the laptop. And that's why I say sometimes I do have issues if something goes wrong with the laptop as far as my rotator controller and the amp. Everything ties back in one way or another. So. But it sure makes life interesting, all the new devices. And I do have an SDR, receive. I do have an SDR play and a PAN adapter, so I do enjoy that on the receive side. So I do like technology. Don't get me wrong. But I also am kind of a knob guy when it comes to radios. So I'm going to go eat some Mexican and probably will drink a margarita since I'm off tomorrow. When I say a margarita, we get a big one. We get the big fishbowl, and I drink my share of it. Sherry, my wife, has a little bit because she has to drive. So, I have a couple of tacos and a big fishbowl margarita, and whatever's ailing me, that'll cure that. So I'll turn it back to Rick, and I'll say 73. So I will be gone with this one. 73 to all. N8 SDR to take it. K4TK sign.
All righty, Tim. I'll talk with you later. Have a great evening and enjoy your tacos and margarita. I had tacos last night. Tacos last night, and you're having tacos tonight. John will be having tacos tomorrow night. I can pretty well guess that, because he mentioned that yesterday when I was talking to him, when I told him I was going to fix tacos. That was like, I think he said, one of his favorite things. So there you go, John. Your dinner's planned for you. 2 guys tacos in a row. I'm sure it's going to make you want to drool and do the old taco smorgasbord tomorrow. I don't want to leave Jim out of there either, John. So when I get done here, I'll turn it down to you, and you can pick up Jim, because I can't, like I said, I can't hear him here. So I don't want to leave him out. And David, N4PBC down in Florida. You got a nice signal up here in Ohio, copying you quite well, no problem. The 6300 sounds good. Running a 6400 here, so one of the newer ones, and hopefully you got a fairly decent copy on us. My name is Rick, and I'm in a town called Hamilton, Ohio. So, like I said, running the 6400 40-meter off-center fed dipole at about 33 feet, and running an older 811H at about 700 watts, 750 watts or so, somewhere around there. So I'll turn it back to John. John, if you want to turn it up to Jim, see if he's still in there, I'd appreciate it. And if he's not, then I guess flip it down to David there. K2YN and the group, N8SDR.
N8SDR and the group, K2YN. Yeah, up to you, Jim. This is K2YN over to AD8AB. Go ahead.
Very good, John. I think I figured out what my problem was. Someone else, I got to figure out something on that. But before that, if you're still there, Ken, I want to tell you that I enjoyed meeting with you and chatting with you for a little bit. And I'll be around here, and I'm usually around here most evenings, and I'll listen for you. That's 73 Street, and I'll keep going along here, okay?
Yeah, you're about 20 over now. Whatever you did, it's working now. You're 20 over. I'm running about 1,400 watts into a rotatable dipole about 50 feet up in the air. And the rotatable dipole's probably pointed more on towards John, more towards the northeast. 73 from Alabama, K4TK.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I write call and name down, but I don't have exact dates or anything.
Okay. Well, when I went to on the 30th, K3PA, me, you, and somebody, W-A-O-D-Y. If you remember that, O-D-Y, sounded familiar to me, sounded familiar to you. I'm trying to find out who it is because he's not on QRZ, QRZ, and he's not in the SEC, and no longer got a hole in it where he's at. I'm trying to figure out if I got the number wrong.
I'd have to look back and try to find the other two calls, the other calls you gave me, and see the cluster. But let me get a piece of paper here. What were the other two calls?
You and me, W-A-Z-O-D-Y, I don't have the name for this one. K3, Zulu Alpha, and K4, K3ZA, K2YN, and W-A-O-D-Y, and that was the crux of it.
Yeah, the 30th. That would be 7 days back. 740 QSOs approximately. I do about 20 a day minimum. Okay, I'll give it a look, and I'm going to throw it over to Dave and see what he's up to. Wait a minute. N4PBC. This is K2YN.
K1DSK. Oh, we got another station in there. K1DSK, I think it was.
That's correct. Kilo 1, Delta Sierra Kilo. Hello, John. Devin here.
Okay, hang on just a second there. I just wanted to pass along a signal report to Rick, N8SDR. You're 5'9" here. Got a good copy. Jim, you're 5'9" plus 10, and John, you're 30 over. So get good signals. And the station here, I'm running a two-element Yagi. It's a kind of a homebrew stepper modified antenna that's up 60 feet, and I'm running about legal limit here. So that's the rundown here. And I guess I'll turn it over to the breaking station, K1DSK N4PBC. Pick it up.
N4PBC, thank you. This is Kilo 1, Delta Sierra Kilo. Name is Devin, Delta Echo, Victor Echo, November. My QTH is small town in Connecticut, town called Ashford, about 30 miles northeast of Hartford. Running a Anan 7000 DLE, about 1 kilowatt into a 160 meter loop, 560 feet of wire. I did some work today. Half of the loop is about 50 feet high, and the other half is about 30 feet high. I had to work on the other part also. The amplifier is a solid-state amplifier, German amplifier RS2K+. It's made from a kit, and the antenna is signed by open line, and the microphone is RE320. So that's the station here. I'll pass it to John. John, you can pick it up, K2YN, K1DSK.
K1DSK, here's K2YN. Good signal down here, Devin. Good to hear you. I don't know if you've been cooking lately, but I know you've got the power. You done any dishes lately?
Well, last night we had some fish, cod, with some lemon juice, some onions, and it was baked with some roasted pumpkin and some squash and roasted beets. So that was last night, and today I made some curry. It's a vegetarian curry with potatoes, eggplants, onions, tomatoes, and lots of spices, mixed ground spices. I don't buy mixture of spices like curry powder. I mix my own. I buy whole seeds or whole spices and grind them. So that was the latest. Back to you.
Oh, very good. Sounds good. Yep. Yeah, I just made a marinara tonight. Straightforward tomatoes and red pepper and orange pepper and onions and garlic. Stuff like that. Basil. A lot of fresh basil. And keeping it simple. Maybe tacos tomorrow. You may be right, Rick. You got me thinking there. I'm going to thaw out the beef tonight, and I have all the seasonings necessary, the cumin and the chili peppers and all that good stuff. I can make my own seasonings like Devin does. And Devin's mother taught him a lot about cooking in the last few years, and he's been showing off to his wife and other people that pay a visit, I'm sure. Just a minute, guys. Jim got a short transmission. 88 AB. This is K2YN.
Okay, I just have to let you know that Mama's got dinner ready out there. I'm going to head on in and make myself at home, so to speak. Sausage balls. Got to be good. I'm sure it smells good from cleaning the group. I'm going to turn loose with the group and say good evening to all of you. N4 PBC, K2YN, K4TK. That's what I got. 73's all over and have fun. Gotta get going now. We'll talk again, I'm sure. 73's up there tonight. It's 88 AB. With the group and back to you, Scott.
Hey, I found WA0BY. And the call signs that surround him are KC5 Yankee Romeo, KA0KA, and W0PQ. There's some zeros in there. Go ahead.
Oh, geez, not Tyler.
Yeah, it's right here on the page. Okay, I'll be darned. WA0BY was fake. Well, usually I can sense it and I check it on QRZ while I'm talking, but he had me. Okay, Jim. The others are real though. Tyler and Don and guys like that they're hardcore old time hams. We'll talk to you later. Have a good dinner, Jim. Bye-bye.
Victor Echo 3.
Okay, go ahead there, Dave.
Okay, well, first let me just say 7-3 to Jim there. It's nice meeting you, and we'll talk again. AB8AE, I think it was, N4PBC. Yeah, the dinner here was leftovers, but not too bad. My wife's a pretty good cook. We had Italian food, manicotti, and it wasn't so bad. I like Mexican as well, and this isn't the best Mexican place, but it's kind of a fast food place, but a lot better than Taco Bell that I found. And I never tried it until just a couple of weeks ago, is Tijuana Flats. And I thought it was pretty good. It doesn't compete with a real Mexican sit-down restaurant, but for fast food, it sure beats Taco Bell. So I thought that was pretty good. Of course, hey, I got a low bar on the food. Anyway, don't have too much more than that. And Rick on the 6400, yeah, I'm looking at upgrading my 6300. I'm not sure which way I'm going to go. I'm probably going to upgrade the antenna first, but I'm looking at a 66 or possibly a 6700, a used one. So let's see what comes my way. Anyway, I guess I'm back over to Rick, N8 SDR, N4 PBC.
Alrighty, Dave. And I think I heard a VE. Was there a VE3 in there that broke in there real quick, too? I'm not hearing him now. He was fairly decent copy earlier. Is the VE3 still in there?
Yeah, it's Joe.
Oh, I don't hear him now.
Okay, Joe. Good evening. K2YN. VE3JUE. This is K2YN. Yeah, you faded out on Rick. Rick had you originally, N8SDR, but band shifted. I've got you down here in South Carolina now. What's up, Joe?
Well,
Okay, Joe, very good. Oh, God, I had a yawn there. Please excuse me. Okay. Yeah, the band's jumping around, and it probably would be hard for conversation for you right now, so I can appreciate you sitting on the side there. And we'll probably call you in sequence a little later and see how the conditions change and see if they're in your favor. And I think it was Rick's transmission, though. N8 SDR, this is K2YN.
Alrighty, John. Yeah, sorry, Joe, just not copying you right now. I did hear you when you broke in there before and didn't want to leave you out there. Did want to acknowledge that we did hear you. But the band's changed, and that's how it happens here on 40. But it was kind of strange because I heard the last conversation with Jim, AB, what was it, AD8AB. I actually heard him for a little bit. I was playing with the preamp here and did hear him then, so that was nice to hear him for a little bit, anyways. Yeah, let us know, John or Dave, how the new antenna works out and the new rig when you get it. Be interesting to hear your thoughts comparing the new one with the older 6300. Either way you go with the 66 or the 67, and like to hear what you find about that. I upgraded from a 3000 from one of the Flex 3000s to the 6400, which was a pretty good jump. Although I really did like the 3000 rig. That thing was a great rig for its price back in the day, and I had that thing for about 10 years. So I got my use out of it quite well. Good rig, it worked really well. I'm hoping that's the case with the 64 here too. Like to get my years out of them. Been happy with this one so far, so it's been a nice rig. John, I'll probably hang in here for a little bit more, and just an FYI, John, I did the beef thing yesterday with the tacos, and then the night before I had fixed some New York strips, and when I bought them, they were in packs of 3s, and we had an extra one, so I just cooked them all. And last night when I was making the tacos, I thought, man, I bet this New York strip would be really good with all the taco seasonings. So I sliced that sucker up in a skillet, marinated it with some onions and some red and yellow peppers, and then put the taco seasonings in there with it. And I'll tell you what, John, that was the best damn taco I think I ever had. New York strip taco. K2YN N8SDR.
We got a Mexican place down here that does steak in tacos, and it is good. So it sounds like you had a winner there. Nice. Oh, my goodness. That's the thing about being able to cook for yourself, though. You have control over the product, and that's very important for me. That's why I do my own cooking a lot. And my wife, she's good. So, and I like that when she cooks, because I get to sit there and feel like I'm being pampered. And that even makes it taste that much better. It does to me. I go, oh, this is wonderful. Her specialties are like beef stroganoff, meatloaf, a really good meatloaf. Yeah. And she has others. I'm trying to think of some of the others she whips up. She has a thing she does with barbecued beef and pastry. She puts barbecue beef into pastry and bakes the pastry around the beef and serves it up hot. And it's pretty neat. Sometimes simple is better. Sometimes simple is excellent. And that's a relatively straightforward meal. And the vegetables in the salad are important. So I get a head of cauliflower, a head of broccoli, romaine lettuce, peppers of all colors, radishes, carrots. You got to keep all that stuff in your drawers there in the bottom of the fridge, and make sure you use them up. Don't forget they're there. That's what I tell myself. So I'm gonna jump out, but I want to give it up to Devin before that happens, and check Joe one more time, and then I'll throw it to you, Dave, and to you up there also, Rick, and then I'm gonna close down shop for a while. So next on the list is Devin, K1DSC. Go for it, K2YN.
Thank you, John. This is Kilo 1 Delta Sierra Kilo, K1DSK. Well, talking about food, I'm getting hungry. And you've been talking about tacos. Everyone has eaten tacos today or in the past. Last week we had tacos, but my wife made fish tacos. So this is soft fish. She had cod fried on the stovetop with some paprika and some herbs. And then on the taco, you have fresh tomatoes, onion, basil, some salsa, lettuce, and cheese with the fish. Oh man, I tell you, the fish taco, there's nothing like it. You gotta try sometime. Other than that, a friend of mine in Rhode Island, we are visiting, and he gave me some plants, herb plants, some mint, parsley, basil. So earlier this week, I made 2 types of chutneys, sauces. Mint sauce with mint, onions, tomatoes, hot pepper, and put in a blender and mix it, puree it really well. Second was chimichurri. It's a South American Argentinian sauce with parsley and oregano, with the balsamic vinegar, garlic, olive oil, and some little bit hot pepper taste that you can spread on chicken or meat. So that's about food. And for PBC, Dave, very strong signal here from you. You are 5'9", plus 10 to 20, solid 5'9" plus 10, and sometime peaking 20. John, also you are also sometime peaking 20, 5'9", 10. And N8 SDR, you are 5'9" plus here, so very strong signal. With that, I'll pass it back to John. Let's see, K2YN, K1DSK.
Oh man, that sounds good. I'm especially that Argentine sauce I want to do. So I was jotting down the ingredients to that: the garlic and the olive oil and the oregano and all the rest of these seasonings here. Basil, I think, was in there. That's pretty nice. And that's K1DSK, chef par excellence there, folks. Devin. And Devin, good talking with you. Since this is my 73 round, I'll just wish you a good evening and, a fine week upcoming. And we'll be looking forward to talking to you again soon. But let's see about Joe, the E3JUE. We're giving you a try. Let's see how the band is. This is K2YN.
Yeah, I got a good copy on
Joe,
you.
a little bit tough tonight. I understand. And I just want to pass on my 73 and good evening to you. And we're just making, this is my final round, so I wanted to bring you in. Good to hear you. And we'll be looking for you down the log soon here. And with that, most of these people have checked out. Dave, I'm going to throw it to you and you throw it to Rick. And for PBC, have a good evening there, Dave. This is K2YN.
K6BS.
Hello,
Okay,
Joe.
well, the 7-3's there, John. There's another station in there, but I want to pick up Joe in Canada there because I have a pretty good copy on him here. Here's your audio, Joe.
Can't hear you good, and I believe there's a guy in Florida there. He's coming in like over, but...
So I got a pretty good copy on you. A little light, but I hear you 100%. So back to you, Joe, VE3JUE N4PBC. Okay, I got you about 5 and 8. Copy. Station here is I got an LK550 amplifier running at the legal limit, the Flex 6300, which you may have heard I mentioned before, and I got a stepper Yagi that's 2 elements. Came originally with 1, and it's got a modified reflector added on there, so and that's up 60 feet. So it's picking you up pretty good. Anyway, I'm going to turn it over to Rick, but first, who was that other breaking station? Go ahead.
Yep, I'll wait my turn. This is KK6 Bravo Sierra, Joe in Florida.
Okay, Joe. Yeah, I think you do the old goat's net, don't you?
That's a Roger. Yep, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, well, yeah, Rick, pick it up. N8 SDR, N4 PBC, and then pass it over to Joe.
All righty. Well, nice to hear you in there, Joe. And Devin, I'm sorry, I meant to comment that you had a nice signal here in Hamilton, Ohio earlier, too, if you're still listening. And that that sounds good with the fish tacos. And, again, like John, the second sauce sounds really good. I'll have to give that a try. I think you said spread that on meat. That sounds like something that would be really good on some pork chops or something. I'll have to give that one a go. So thanks for that tip and the ingredients. Appreciate it. And again, John, if you're still listening, and Dave, I think I mentioned earlier when I had signed in there that I was streaming this one. So you guys that want to hear what you sound like up here in Ohio, this will be actually it should be streaming still, and it'll render to YouTube live as well. Well, it won't be live after it gets done rendering, but it is streaming live now. But I'll leave it there so it'll be part of the archive. So if you just go to YouTube and then look up my call, you'll find it. It'll be the most recent one there, and I'll try to post a few of the call signs in it when it gets done to make it a little bit easier for you to find. But everybody's a pretty solid copy here. Like I said, the only people I'm not hearing was VE3 and then the AB8, but he's just a little too close for me. And I think the same with excuse me, Joe up there in Canada as well. I think he's just too close for me right now. But I tell you what, you guys from Florida are sounding good. So let me send it back down to Joe, KK6BS. This is Rick up here in Hamilton, Ohio, and nice to meet you. KK6BS, N8 SDR.
Okay, Rick, N8 FDR, KK6BS with a group. And first of all, Rick, you've got a nice signal here in Florida. You're running right around 10 dB over 9 a lot of the time. The QSB is not bad at all tonight. Solid band. Great to hear that. 40 and 20 have been getting better over the last several days, and I've really, really enjoyed being on both of those bands. Anyway, I just wanted to jump in and say good night to John. Also, good to hear Joe, VE3 JUE, you're running 5.9 here in Florida. So very nice to hear you from way up there. And John, you're even stronger, of course, than you are in the daytime. You're running about 30 over tonight. So, folks here in Florida got something to watch weather-wise. As Mr. Matthew there, already a tropical storm's expected to be a hurricane here Monday night or early Tuesday, and come into the Florida Big Bend area, which is about 50 miles due west of where I am. I'm out here in the woods west of Gainesville, about 8 miles. So we'll see how that works out, and doesn't look like it'll affect my flight. I'm going to California Friday for my daughter's wedding. I'll be flying out of Jacksonville, so hopefully the timing will be good. Anyway, not going to keep it. Again, great band. Good to hear everybody tonight. And John, coming back your way, put the catcher's mitt on. K2YN, KK6BS.
Yeah, okay. Listen to that. I'm listening to the streaming, and I'm just going to see what the heck we got going here. I'm listening to the screen. I'll be darned. I'm just going to see what the heck. Okay, sorry, guys. There's that delay. That's really cool, Rick. That's really neat. And your receiver's copying very quietly tonight. I think you back off your AGC gain a little bit and take advantage of these strong signals. And it's beautiful, beautiful sound you've got going there, Rick. Go ahead.
Hey, how are you, Joe?
Yeah, I'm really running the AGC a little less than half, John. That's one thing I have noticed, and Dave, PBC may have noticed the same thing too, with the 6000 series. That, man, they're quiet on receive if you get the threshold adjusted right. So let me send it back down to Dave, and we'll keep this thing going. I think you're going to get out of there. Oh, actually, hold on a second. Nope, it goes up to. I'm sorry, it goes up to Devin, K1DSK. I'm not going to skip you this time, Devin. I apologize. K1DSK to take it and send it down to PBC when you're done there.
KD5AW.
Copy that, KD5AW. Well, thank you, Dick. It's nice to talk to the group. I guess many of you I'm talking to first time. I have talked to K2YN John many times, but it seems like a nice group. And Dave, nice meeting you too. And it's time for me to go to dinner. Maybe I'll come back and join you guys some other time. So at this time, I'll say 73. And hi to Joe, KK6BS, Kilo 1, Delta Sierra Kilo, K1DSK in Connecticut. Very good signal coming from you here, 59 plus 10. All right, gentlemen, this is my last round. Listen for a few minutes, and then I'll say 73 right now. 73, everyone. Have a good night. K1DSK. So I pass it back to KN4PBC. Dave, pick it up.
Okay, Devin, N4PBC. Have a good evening. And there's another station in there I think wants to get it. But just a quick question for Joe. In the evenings on 75 meters, we've been having an issue where the band goes long and you lose local communications, and not just a little bit. This has been... used to be it only happened on rare occasions. Now it's been happening almost every evening, and it's like clockwork at about 9, well, maybe a little later, about 10 o'clock. You lose all communications within Florida. It's pretty bad. I'm wondering if you guys have anything like that in the mornings. Are you having any kind of issues like that in the mornings? I don't get up in the mornings.
Yeah, okay, Dave, and oops, let me hit the big switch here again. KK6 Bravo Sierra. Yes, only it's reverse. We can't hear each other until sometimes at net time. It's just coming in, and that's at 0730. And it was that way for a good little while. I've noticed the last 2-3 days we have had some local band before 7 a.m. But usually, Dave, that's time to sunrise. And the going away at 9 is, as far as I know, at night is perfectly normal. The band, frankly, gets long, and it'll get longer sooner as we get into the later fall and into the winter months. And I remember in particular, when I was living in San Diego, I had to wait until after 10 o'clock Eastern time for the band to be long enough to talk to my friends on the East Coast, up in the Northeast in particular, that I left behind when I moved out to San Diego. So it's just a sign of the times and the time of the season, like the zombies there, Dave. Go ahead.
Well, the thing is, it's always done the going long later in the evening, but it's the lack of local communications, the dropping out of the short communications that never used to happen except for on rare occasions. Now it's happening like almost every night. you used to never really lose the communications, like here to South Florida, middle of the state to South Florida, or North Florida to South Florida, around those areas. Then maybe the signal would go down a little bit, but you never lose it. Now it's like you can't communicate between your Gainesville area and Fort Lauderdale at all. I don't care what you throw at it. I mean, you could, I don't know if you know Matt, W1MBB, he's got a big signal. You wouldn't even be able to hear him from Gainesville. That's how bad it just drops completely out. And that never used to happen except for very rare occasions. I think it might be tied to the sunspot cycle. I don't know, just it's more than just the usual loss of propagation and because of the total outage, and it's more than just going long a little bit. And I was wondering if you're having that kind of bad issue in the morning. So anyway, that's all I got here, and there was another station in there, so maybe give me your final comment on that and then pass it along. N4PBC.
Okay, Dave. Yeah, I don't think it's sunspots. If it was, or the solar cycle, the signals wouldn't be big generally. They'd be attenuated. And look at the signals. I mean, my goodness, you're 30 over 9 and trying to go a little bit higher. So, no, I've seen it before. I most certainly have, particularly on the East Coast. West Coast a little bit different. But I'll give you an example. My Elmer, when I was living in New England, in East Central Mass, there west of Boston, my Elmer lived 6 miles away from me. He ran about 2,500 watts out, and he had a dipole of 60 feet in the air. And there were times on 75 meters when I could not hear, not even a little bit of him. And that really blew my mind. That was in my earlier ham career, and boy, did I learn a lesson about that. So again, I think it's just the time of the year. Maybe you had some propagation, and now it's getting into October, and here comes winter, and the band's going to be changing around a little bit. I noticed the guys up north and in the Midwest are starting to come in good, again, after about 9 o'clock or so. They have some pretty decent signals down here, so it's just the band getting longer, and sometimes there's the vacuum, I guess. And you really do lose South Florida. They get all echoey and much, much weaker, So wouldn't be too concerned about it. Of course, what are you going to do? Anyway, Dave, let me throw it back to you. I don't know the other station, and I'm going to bail out of here and go back into listening mode, but sure good to chat with you guys. In for TBC, KK6BS. Take it away.
Okay. Yeah, I was the other night, like 40 over S9 down to South Florida, and then within 15 minutes, I was a no copy. It just was really ridiculous how bad the attenuation got. And I used to be very active around the year 2000, and it would never happen like that except for like maybe once a year. It was, now it's happening every day to a couple times a week at least, and it goes out around 10 o'clock, and then around midnight it comes back. So it's been kind of going like clockwork. It's really getting kind of annoying. Anyway, I don't know who the other station was, but I'll go ahead and throw it out there for whoever that is out there. N4PBC.
Yeah, it was a K5AW, I think.
PBC, KD5AW. I just wanted to shout at Rick, NA-SDR, and talk to him in a while, so you guys talking. But that phenomenon has been around. I've run into that years ago, been through many cycles, and what you're talking about is not an unusual phenomenon. You just have a grin and beer it, dear guy. NA-SDR, KD5AW, Rick, how copy?
Hey, buddy. I copy you. A little light tonight, but I copy you fine. How you hope everything's been going good for you. KD5AW, N8SDR. I shot you an email, I think, one day last week. I was talking with your partner in crime there, and he said that you wanted an email link to that. Did you get it?
No, I didn't. If I'd seen one from you, I would have replied. You might want to send that email again, because I didn't see it, Rick. Go ahead.
Okay. Yep. I will send it again here for you shortly. So that's not a problem. How things been going with you?
Oh, things have been fine. Things have been fine, apart from dealing with the fluctuation each day of the band. What else can you do but grin and bear it? Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, just like KK6BS was saying, there ain't nothing you can do with it. It's like the weather; you have no control. It's gonna run its ugly course, and whatever happens, happens. And by the way, Dave, I see that quite often up here on 80 meters. And on 40 meters. Heck, there's been times that John and I, K2YN and I, have been talking, and we've been, 20, 30 over with each other, and the next go round, it's no copy. I mean, you let go of the key, and the other guy's not there anymore. I mean, it happens. It happens a lot. But I think it is happening a little more frequently than it used to. But I don't think it has to do with the cycle, like Joe was saying. I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think it's just the changing of the seasons and the way that the pass route on 40 and 80 with the seasons, and the lighting changing faster, and getting darker, starting to get darker a little bit quicker, and things like that. I think it's just it's the natural phenomenon of 40 and 80 meters. Let me turn it back to I think John signed, Devin signed. I'll turn it back down to you there, Dave. I'm going to go one more with you guys. And KD5AW, I'll resend that email to you here shortly. And really good to hear you again. So hang in there for a little bit. Dave, N4PBC, here it comes from N8SDR in the group.
Okay, real fine there, Rick. It actually kind of makes me feel a little better about it, that it's not the sunspot cycle. Just something we got to live with. But it's just been really a lot worse than I've ever experienced. I guess I haven't been on the air at the right time or the wrong time, however you want to look at it. But it's been like clockwork lately, every night. It's like you get on and you can get on there 9 o'clock and you can get in there for a half hour, maybe an hour, and then you're going to lose the band. And then if you stay up late, it comes back. Well, at least it comes back. That's a nice thing. But anyway, it is what it is. I'm not looking to fight it. I'm just looking for answers. Because in a way, I was kind of hoping that it was the sunspot cycle. I think that going forward, a couple of years down the road, it'll be back to what I thought I was used to. But maybe I just never was on the band at the right time. So maybe it's more a seasonal thing. Anyway, I don't know if Joe's still in there. KK6BS, pick it up. If not, back to you, Rick. N8SDR, N4PBC.
I think he signed.
Well, go ahead there, KD5AW. Pick it up.
Yeah, okay, Rick. Good to hear you, man. We have some thunderstorms approaching here. You can hear the static picking up a little bit. We're in for some pretty large amounts of rain through Wednesday, so off and on. Not continuously, but off and on. And so kind of paying attention here. They're broadcasting live on TV, so it must be some severe weather out there. Anyway, I won't hold you. You might want to get off. And, we'll look forward to the email. And great hearing you again. I haven't run into you on this band in a while, so I thought you took a sabbatical or something. Anyway, man, take care. Have a good evening. And if you talk to John, you tell him I said hello. I just can't remember to come down that low. I can't limbo like John can, okay? So tell him I'll catch up with him one day. N8SDR, KD5AW, 73 Rick.
I'll tell him. I'll certainly tell him that you said that you can't hang with the low guy on the totem pole there. So that's great. That's funny. I'll let him know you said that. He may be listening. He was just in here. You just missed him by a few minutes. He was going to get some dinner, so he may have left the rig on. Yet you never know. You may have made him choke on his meal. I don't know. And I'll send that email to you here shortly. and let me know if you don't get it. Shoot me an email back and let me know so I can figure out what the heck's going on there. Good to hear you again, and we'll talk with you real soon. By the way, Dave, there's another Flex, one of the newer series, one of the other 6000s as well that KD5AW is running. So back down to you there, Dave. N4PBC and 8SDR. I'll go one more, and I'm going to get out of here.
Hang on a minute, Joe. You know that the email is listed on QRZ, so if you're in doubt, check that, okay?
Yeah, that's the one I used the last time, so that one's good, right?
Yeah, that's the one I use, yeah.
Okay, I'll use it again, so I'll forward that back off to you.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay. KD5AW N4PBC. Yeah, sorry I passed you up there. Forgot you were in there and handed it back to Rick. But anyway, yeah, you got a pretty good copy over here in Central Florida. And yeah, I have the Flex 6300, and I've been really pretty happy with the rig. I used to have a 6500, and actually I've had several SDR radios. I had an Anon 100, and then I had the 6300, and then I had a 6500, and then I had the 6300 I have now, and I had for a short time an Anon 200D. Yeah, I sold my 65 when the new models were announced at Dayton. When they first were announced, I knew that the radios were going to devalue, so I quickly sold mine. But then, you know, I had plans to buy a new one, and they got delayed, and there was issues, and I decided I wanted to have at least some form of a Flex radio back, so I called Flex up and got a good deal on the 6300, and I got that for the time being, but I'm looking at getting a 66 or 67, probably not too far in the future here. Anyway, I guess everybody's signing off, so I'm probably going to follow suit, and I've enjoyed getting in here with you guys. I just met most of you today. I knew John, and I've spoke to Devin once or twice before, and of course I know Joe from his old Goats Net. But you sound like you got a good group in here, so I'll probably be returning. Anyway, back to KD5AW N4PBC.
Yeah, okay, N4PBC, KD5AW. Well, you know, you can't go wrong with the Flexes, and the beauty about the Flexes, I'm an audiophile, so I like to play with the audio portion of, worked in audio for 45 and a half years. But I found it to be the best of all worlds because you don't need any equipment externally to get this radio to sound good. You just plug a good microphone in there in the back, and you're off and running. Whether it be XLR or not, it matches up beautifully if you know to tune it with a built-in EQ. So that's not an issue at all. But thoroughly enjoying it, and worked out well for me. All my audio gear is up here looking at me, turned off, and I only use it when I have the Pro 3 turned on. So that's the only time I use them anymore. But really love the Flex, love the outcome by using a good microphone, and you're good to go. Anyway, 73, and Rick, you've got it. I'll talk with you later, hopefully, maybe sooner. So take care, guys, and great hearing you from Florida. Big signal from Florida, by the way, into Oklahoma City. So N8SDR with N4PBC, KD5AW. 73, fellas.
All righty, buddy. Hey, take care, and look forward to catching up with you again here real soon. I've been on 40 here and there, but not like we were. I've been kind of sidetracked with some things, so I haven't been on as much as I was there earlier. But I'm sure I'll run across you again here real soon. Always great to hear you. And by the way, Dave, KD5AW is the one that helped me set the audio up with this one, so he's got a good ear of getting things set up. I think I've had nothing but pretty good reports of the way this one sounds on with the mic just jacked into the back of the radio, like he said. So not using anything up here external either. You guys take care, and I'll look for you here later in the week or early, maybe over the weekend or something. KD5AW and N4PBC. I think you guys are the only ones left in here. Really nice chatting with you guys. Take care. N8SDR.
73, Rick. 73, Joe.
Okay. Good night, guys. Just listening in. I had to get out of the shack here for a few minutes, but yeah, you can hear the band starting to change, so maybe a good time to sign. Anyway, great listening, and thanks again for the enjoyable evening here, just hanging around the shack. And we'll get with you guys again. KK6BS near Gainesville, Florida.
Yeah.
Wow, you went down there, Joe. Of course, I moved my beam. My beam's pointed more towards west for KD5AW. So that might be it. It might not be the band. Anyway, 7-3 song. Enjoyed talking to you guys, and we'll do it again. N8SDR, KK6BS, and KD5AW. This is N4PBC. I'll be clear.
73, fellas. 30 over 9.
Hey.
Riding the wave.
Hey, KD5AW, I don't know if you heard me mention it, but I've been streaming this for the last, I don't know, I guess about an hour and a half or so. It's up on YouTube, so look me up on YouTube. You'll find the stream in there too, and just kind of scroll towards the end of it here in a little while after it renders, and you'll see your signal and obviously hear your audio up here. So take care. Good to hear you in there again. N8SDR.
Yeah, thanks for the service. Yeah, I caught that a little bit earlier there, so going to do just that. I've already written a note down next to you there in the log. So thanks again for providing that. That's neato. 7-3 KK6BS is now clear.
Yeah, I think it is perfect timing. I'm starting to hear the AM broadcast stations starting to wake up. So you guys take care, N8SDR.